Hello my little learners, you can call me Lovegood, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Here are just a few things before we get started. Today I'm presenting you with the third and final part of Chapter 13, Werewolf Heart by Dead Man's Bones by KittyKqt on AO3. Of Ghostly Bonds. I forgot that, but of Ghostly Bonds. And the summary for this chapter is Infiltration. Enough of my rambles and jambles, and let's get right into the fic. Eraserhead nodded, gripping his capture weapon. Then we're good. He paused, glancing over to the area Izuku was. Stay safe, kid. He took off into the open, Present Mic and Midnight behind him. Heroes burst onto the scene, more than a few who had been fighting earlier. Each centered on Nomu. Nezu was smart. He knew what he was doing. Izuku just had to do his job. He pulled back up his bond, taking a breath and holding it as he pulled Shigaraki's. His vision was filled with black spots and he struggled to right himself after the fast travel and speaking. He had to push himself further. He had to get this right. Anxious? He asked, right behind Shigaraki, who paced back and forth, scratching, up and down, their nails like chalkboard prickling at Izuku's skin. He couldn't scratch. Shigaraki spun around, but Izuku was already gone. He made a show of pulling out a bar stool, the wood scraping on the floor. He didn't sit in it, but hovered just above, ready to move again. Ghost, we were waiting on you, Kurogiri said with a smile. Did he take too long? Did they know? No, he only took a few minutes, at most. He was safe. Izuku laughed. It's hard when you can't fast travel everywhere. Kurogiri nodded in understanding, as Shigaraki slumped up to the bar. That was the real person he had to convince. Now, about your plans, Izuku said coolly, rubbing at his neck. It'd gotten so bad, but he wouldn't itch. Couldn't. Kurogiri chuckled as Shigaraki scowled, growling slightly. Who the hell growled like a dog? I suppose I can't offer you a drink? Kurogiri asked, grabbing a glass from the cabinet. Not unless you would like a mess on your floor. No body and all. Kurogiri nodded, pouring a drink slowly. It was hell to wait, to watch him try to push Izuku. He couldn't fall for it. He slid the drink over to Shigaraki, setting the bottle of liquor down. We don't even know you, Ghost. Why should we discuss our plans with you? Izuku hummed, trying to swallow the bile in his throat. I know you. I've been watching, listening, waiting. Shigaraki's face continued to twist in anger as Izuku spoke. Anger always made people dumb. That's what Nezu claimed. The key to being smart was to show no emotion. And Kurogiri had yet to go upset. And what have you found out? He wiped a glass that Izuku was 100% sure was already cleaned. Hosu, your Nomu operation, your dislike for the hero killer, and your desire to kill All Might. He listed them off, blinking away his spotty vision. What I don't know are your goals. Shigaraki seemed to grow confused as Kurogiri said nothing, just watching the man-child. My only goal is to kill All Might. He scratched at his neck faster and faster, Izuku swallowing more bile. He ruined my life. I will make him pay. That's not a goal, Izuku said bluntly. It really wasn't. It was shoddy. No real plan, no real end. Even he could see that. It wasn't what Nezu wanted to hear. Shigaraki spun on him, disintegrating the seat he supposedly sat on. He moved, floating over to the other side of the man, as he panted heavily. A loyal dog. But to who? Calm down, Kurogiri said, sliding another glass to Shigaraki. I'm afraid we can't disclose information to an outsider. Izuku laughed, hoping his voice carried. I've been here for a while. Outsider is not the right word to use here. He needed this information. He needed to know their plans, who was in charge and who was in danger. Kurogiri chuckled, nodding along. I suppose so, but then again, we don't know you, do we? He turned his head to look at Izuku, seemingly staring right into his eyes. He couldn't know Izuku was there. He couldn't see Izuku. But the hairs on Izuku's neck stood up under his hand, and he felt scared. Scared. A ghost feeling scared. He floated up off the ground slightly, but Kurogiri's gaze didn't follow. He couldn't see him. He sighed in relief before pushing President Mike's quirk back up. I suppose you don't, but what is there to know? I am curious about your cause of death. He spoke gently, but there was such an undertone to his voice. And how you found us. He couldn't tell them any more. He had to know what to disclose. He had to speak to Nezu again. I'm afraid you haven't unlocked that level of tragic backstory yet. He chuckled, and Shigaraki glared at him. It seems we are truly at an impasse. It seems so. Kurogiri nodded, as Shigaraki just scratched. Izuku had to leave. I suppose that means it is not necessary for me to remain here, he said, hoping to come off gently. He couldn't raise suspicion. Unless, he offered, hoping they would take the bait. Tell him more. It is not, Kurogiri said, nodding. Though where does a ghost go when they are dead? He asked, looking back at Izuku. Izuku laughed. I have people to haunt from my old life. He paused, allowing them to fill the silence. They didn't. Then I bid you adieu, but I will be back. For my own goals, of course. Of course, Kurogiri said, nodding. You will let us know when you are back? Naturally, Izuku said. I will be off now. He waited on taking hold of Arisa's rope, though, hoping for some more information. Minutes seemed to stretch by as no one spoke, the sound of glass squeaking filling the room. It would seem we have ourselves a potential ally, young master, Kurogiri spoke. Young master? That was it. There had to be another master, the one in charge. A cheat code, Shigaraki said, downing his third glass. Izuku was pretty sure it was heavily distilled liquor, but he didn't seem to notice. A problem. Izuku secured his grip and pulled himself forward quickly. The world spun and flashed in his vision as he gripped his stomach. He felt weak, sick. He couldn't let himself lose time, though, not again. He forced himself to straighten, itching at his neck without realizing. Nezu, Izuku tried to whisper to Eraserhead, who was in the midst of tying up Anomu for the police. It was carnage, but Izuku couldn't look around, couldn't help. He had a job to do. For the first time in his life and death, he was important. Everyone in the vicinity turned to Eraserhead as he sighed, shaking his head. He handed the Nomu off without another word, leaping to the rooftops. Let's go, he finally said, taking off across the rooftops. Why Nezu wouldn't let him form a bond was confusing, but he would listen. If only for fear of the rat principal, his mentor. Oh goodness, and that is the end of this one. I've recorded this all together, but I might half it because that was so much longer than I thought it was. I didn't check the amount of words on this one, which is an amateur mistake, but I didn't. And it was longer than I thought it would be, so it ended up being 25 minutes probably for a video, when I normally only do 10 to 15, because that's normally my editing capacity for the week, or 2 weeks. I'm really bad at editing, and it takes me a long time. I procrastinate a lot in doing it, which is not great when you have a schedule, but, it's okay. So, yes, hopefully. But anyway, there are a few author's notes, so let me just read those. Sorry, you can just hear my voice crashing out. Please ignore it. Anyway, author's notes. I'm honestly not sure how I want him to interact with the League. He's definitely putting on a front, but there's a bit more than that. That's all there is. Anyway. Alrighty, my little learners. That's a wrap of this one. I always forget to do that before I read the author's notes and my thoughts, but I guess it is... Oh, wait, hold. Let me get to my thoughts on this chapter. I do love this chapter. He is interacting with the League more, which is a good thing. Nezu does seem to be disregarding the fact he's a child and acting as if he's a fully fledged underground hero by putting him to these dangerous missions and everything. That does seem a bit, a little bit off-putting to Nezu, because some fics Nezu was like a dad to some Izuku found family fics, and some he is just absolutely horrible. And I think I don't know how to feel about him in this fic. He seems to be... I think he just seems to be, not really understanding the human, which I do like. I do like him like this, where he's not just understands it, because he doesn't in canon, I don't think. I can't really remember, to be fair. And I love Kurogiri just completely remaining calm, because I don't think he can really get angry. I don't think that's really in his, like, coding. I don't know. But, yeah, and Izuku is getting closer to figuring out about All for One, which is cool. I do wonder why Nezu won't let him form a bond. I don't know if we get to know. I can't remember. But, yeah. Again, I can't remember what happens in this fic. I read it a while ago. But, yeah, that is that chapter. That's the end of this chapter. Chapter 14 hopefully will be out soon. So, my little Lunas, this is a little reminder that you might have something you need to do or check. I hope you have a loontastic time, wherever and whenever you may be. Day, night, dusk, dawn, low tide, high tide, whatever it is for you. You can call me Lovegood, and that was Chapter 13 of Ghostly Bonds, titled Werewolf Heart by Dead Man's Bones, by KittyKqt on AO3. Again, the link to this fic will be in the pinned comment by me on this video, and tags are in the description as well as warnings. Bye, little Lunas.